Good evening and welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or one of the 50% of the people watching this that have not done so already, subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a link to Super Chat that runs alongside the show while it is live. And if you would like to join the debate, there is a link in the info box below this video. With the page that you are watching me on now on mute, simply click on that link to join the debate and express your views on the shape of the Earth. There are, however, a couple of rules in the Hangout. Number one, please do not swear. If you do, you will be ejected. And number two, if you are ejected, please do not try to rejoin the show using sock accounts. In a moment, I'm going to transition across to my photographs so I can share the show on Facebook, Skype and Twitter, and I would encourage you, if you are currently in the live stream, to please also share the show. With that, I'll say once more, if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, please share the show on social media and subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate.
Morning, Nathan.
Morning. It's like 11:05 in the evening, but yes, hello. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Excellent.
For some reason, I'm getting feedback again. I don't know why. I need to restart my machine. I'll just probably step in for a couple of minutes, make an assertion, and then disappear. And if people want to pick up on it, then so they can. If they're not, then it's fine. It just fills a little bit of space till others get in. We live on a spinning ball, apparently, and the rotation of the Earth is supposed to be 1,040 miles an hour, or 15 degrees in every hour. If this was true, water would pool at the equator. All the water would slowly move towards the equator. That would be where the bulge is, and we would be able to see lots of evidence of this. But in actual fact, the equator is one of the most driest, water-deprived areas on the planet, and the most wet areas of the planet are the oceans. Why would that be if we are spinning, creating a centrifugal force that should push the waters from the north down to the south and the waters from the south up to the north? Simply can't happen. That's my assertion. And if anybody wants to pick up on it, great. If not, I'll step off and we'll carry on in some other way.
Fair enough. We've been joined by, I'm going to attempt to say this, Rave Enley. I'm sure I've got that completely wrong.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. How do you say your first name?
R. Venley.
Arav.
Yeah.
Pleased to have you here, Arav. It's a pleasure.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I agree with what he said. How would gravity even work anyway? I mean, I thought gravity would pull stuff toward the center. I mean, what if, it's, higher? Like when you look at the Nile, it actually flows, downhill, but it flows up on a globe, so it doesn't make any sense.
I think the official answer for the Nile, I think they call it an anomaly. In other words, another word for defying the laws of physics.
Yeah, it just seems like, on a flat Earth, water would just flow downhill. I mean, most of the time you see water flowing downhill on very gentle gradients. I mean, the faster the flow, the steeper the slope generally. But I don't know how it would work with gravity.
I agree. Maybe we could get somebody like Jeremy or Curved in to explain these two questions. Why doesn't centrifugal force make the Nile flow the opposite way to which it does? It starts at pretty much the equator in Africa and it goes up to the Mediterranean. That defies the centrifugal forces of physics. And more generally, why does the water not pool on the equator when it seems to be most abundant at the poles? Again, that defies the laws of centrifugal force. Alex, Curved, welcome.
Been joined by Curve Water and Alex French. Good to have you both here. Do you want to start first, Alex? Say hello.
Hello. It's like me and Curve, like a married couple coming together.
And also Curve
Keep it
Water. How you
curved.
doing? How you doing, Curved?
Good morning, Nathan.
Good evening.
So come on then, Curved. Alex, why does centrifugal force not apply to the Nile, and why doesn't water pool at the equator when it should do, according to the law of the physics law of centrifugal forces?
Pool?
Yeah, gather,
Why doesn't it pool?
gather, accumulate, move to.
Oh, how did I walk into this? How does it not affect? What do you mean? How does it not apply to the Nile? What are you talking about?
Well, the
When
Nile
you spin something, normally the water goes out. So if it were on a spinning ball, the water would go out to the furthest point, and on a globe, it would be around the equator, right? So why don't we see more water at the equator than anywhere else in the ball?
We've been joined by Brenda. How you doing, Brenda?
Good afternoon.
Good evening to you.
Oh, she got it right.
Morning.
Why is everyone saying morning? What's going on? What world are we living in?
Good day. Good evening.
Isn't that what Anthony said? I thought Anthony said good morning when he came on.
Yeah, it's just come from that. That's all. Sorry, Anthony. We're just trolling. So.
It's just a
What is
joke.
your topic?
It's centrifugal stuff. No, what does centrifugal force have to do with the Nile? What are we talking about with it?
Basically, water should be pooling out toward the equator since water goes out when you spin it on a ball. Why don't we see that on the globe?
How much should it be forced out? How much should it pool? How much does it pool? Seems like you might
should we see higher sea levels around the equator than other places on the Earth? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. Do we?
Yeah.
Do we see that?
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Just asking. Just asking.
No, I'm asking you.
I do not know.
Okay, well then I'm not really too concerned about it. If you get some information, then we'll deal with it. Right now, you just asked a question, and I don't even know what the situation actually even is. So what about the Nile?
Seems like it might be proof against the globe if we don't see, I guess, higher sea levels around the equator,
Okay.
more volume of water around the equator, because you'd expect, with the spinning object, the water would go out to the furthest point, which on a globe, one would assume would be around the equator, I guess.
All right, now, first of all, so what do we see? You don't even know. You're talking about what you would expect to see, and you don't even know what's there.
So,
what do you want? Right. You don't have an argument. You have a question. You don't have an argument.
We've been joined by...
I figured it might be like a collaboration. Maybe if you had any information, I would love to know. I would love to know any collaboration.
We've been joined by Tony. Just want to say a quick hello. How you doing, Tony?
Good. How you doing, Nathan? What's up, guys?
Hey, Tony.
Keep going.
Hello.
But I'm still really puzzled about the Nile. You guys seem to be fascinated with the Nile because it's like the most famous or whatever that runs south to north, I think.
Okay, maybe if I can populate it with some facts for you that might help progress the discussion or progress the request. The Nile runs north against the centrifugal forces of the planet if it's supposed to be rotating. Okay, it starts pretty much at the equator in Africa, and it exits into the Mediterranean Sea.
What's the elevation difference between the starting point and the ending point?
3,800 feet. But when you do the maths,
and how much force is generated by the rotation of the Earth to counter that, to whip the water up from 3,800 feet, at the Mediterranean back to the source of the Nile? What kind of forces are generated that you would expect it to do that?
well, there's so little that we can't detect it, right?
Nobody said so little we can't detect it. We're so as a human being, for you to experience and notice
15 degrees of rotation in an hour doesn't create a lot of force.
For you as a human being to notice that you would weigh about 0.3% or 0.03% less at the equator. I don't think you're going to pick that up.
I agree. So how would that explain the apparent or the actual movement of the water from the Nile that goes against the centrifugal force?
It doesn't.
Oh my God. The centrifugal force is very weak. Elevation is the driving factor here that drives it from the higher elevation down to the Mediterranean.
I'm glad you mentioned the elevation.
This is simple.
Gravity.
It's all about elevation.
Have you done the maths? Curve, are you aware of what the math states for how much elevation change there should be if it was following the curvature of the Earth? I mean,
elevation is not curvature.
No, but it only drops 38.
But they're not related. It's not the same. Elevation change is not curvature.
It only drops by 3,800 feet, but the curvature, the actual curvature drop, or according to the model, it's like 94,000 feet.
Brenda, you want to take a shot?
No, I don't want to talk with Brenda. I'd rather talk with you or Alex. If I can't talk with either of you two, I'd rather just leave.
I'd rather not talk with you about it because you can't talk sense.
What about if Brenda says it to me and then I'll say it to you?
All right, I'll step out.
Fair enough. I'll accept.
But I mean, come into this, like you say, you got to come with, facts and figures, and maybe I need to get a chart or something. But logically, some of this doesn't make sense. Like, something was said, like you can't feel the centrifugal force or something, or we were talking about centrifugal force. That's another thing that doesn't make sense about this whole globe model. In a car, you can feel it when it goes and stops at 60 miles an hour, and supposedly the Earth is going thousands of miles an hour, and it's wobbling. The change and incline on its axis, that implies a change in direction, slowing down, and the Earth changing its tilt in its axis. We should feel huge changes in motion on this huge ball spinning thousands of miles an hour with huge pascals of force, yet we don't feel a thing. It just seems like we're on a still, geostationary, flat, unmoving plane that is not moving at all.
Hey, poser, pascals are like atmospheric pressure.
Well, I probably used the wrong term. Sorry about that, but the general spirit of what I'm saying is the same. If you can feel 50 to 60 miles per hour of force in a car, you should feel thousands of miles per hour or whatever in force on a globe when it wobbles around on its axis, but people don't feel that. So there's a logical disconnect there.
All right, Brenda, ask him how much force is generated in the vehicle that he's describing.
Yeah, the only time you feel anything, if you're in a moving car or a plane or a train, is when there's acceleration. At constant speed, you cannot feel any movement at all.
For it to change on its axis, that implies a change in acceleration for it to change direction.
It is true.
And for it to go in a circular wobble, that's a constant change. So you should feel constant changes in acceleration to go in a circular wobble.
What circular wobble? What circular wobble? Please be specific.
They say that we tilt backwards and forwards, and we go around on the axis in the wobble. So if you looked at the whole direction, it would look like an upside down. It would look like a mirrored cylinder. What do you call it? It's hard to describe the shape. It's like a triangle.
So how long does it take for the Earth's wobble to make a complete one circuit.
Um,
So that's called precession.
I want to say the precession was like thousands of years, but
Yeah,
what about the
26
seasons? It has to go forward.
Up, stop there.
26,000 years is how long the precession of the poles takes to make one full orbit.
Yeah, that's slow, but what about the
26,000 years.
seasons? According to the round Earth model, we go forward to go to summer or whatever, then stop and go backward to go to winter. That's a big change of 26 degrees every season.
Forwards and backwards? What are you talking about?
He thinks that
23 degrees each a season to tilt forward and backward to create the seasons. That's significant.
No. That's not what happens.
Yeah, you need some help
That's
with
what
that.
happens according to the current model, isn't it?
No, it's not. No, you don't understand.
No.
I'm going to try to find something.
Okay.
That's not what happens.
All right. Because according to flat Earth people, depending on the theory you consult, the seasons happen from the widening and contracting circles of the sun around the geostationary Earth. So when the sun makes a tight circle around the inner part of the flat Earth plane, it's summer in the inner part of the flat Earth plane, which corresponds, I guess, to the northern hemisphere, the northern ring or whatever. And then when it makes a wider circle, it gets cold on the inner part of the flat Earth plane and gets warmer on the outer parts. So you'd get a corresponding summer in the southern region or the outer lane.
Wouldn't the sun have to speed up a lot if it was going out the outer edge? I don't know.
Samuel Rowbotham covers that in Earth Not a Globe. He says that mariners in the southern latitudes reported sudden daylight and sudden nighttime, which points to a faster sun making a faster circuit down there if it's happening more suddenly.
Does anyone see that nowadays? Like
Lord help me.
I haven't been down there, so I can't confirm.
Any
Samuel Rowbotham in his book Earth Not a Globe.
I mean, you'd think it'd still be happening today.
Yeah.
And nobody's seen it.
That sounds like
Any mariners in the audience?
Sounds like a project for FECOR. Get on that, Bob and Sharon.
So he just based his opinion on gossip that he heard from sailors.
Yeah, that he actually heard on a YouTube video.
Well, I meant Rothbottom. Rothbottom.
Oh, you're saying he? Oh, sorry, I was talking about him.
Rothbottom based his opinion that the sun moves faster on hearsay evidence he got from sailors.
I think this was the guy Jen was talking about to me, but I swear he was telling me this guy is like a notorious liar. You can look up loads of stuff about this guy, like in old papers and archives about this dude, and like I can't remember. I wish I'd listened to Jem now. God, I wish I was paying attention.
Yeah, he's a bit of a con man, they say.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Several aliases and whatnot. Anyway, okay, so I'm sorry, how do you pronounce your name? Is it Orav?
Arav.
Arav? Okay, Arav?
Yeah.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Now, as the Earth orbits around the sun, the axial tilt remains the same. It does not change with respect to, its tilt. It's not wobbling around. Now, it's going to change with respect to the sun. You have it pointing towards the sun on the left, and then it's kind of like not pointed towards or away from the sun. There in the northern autumn, southern spring at the bottom, and at the top. Those are both the same thing. Those are the time of equinox, when the axis is not pointed towards nor away from the sun. But the other two on the left and right, that's when the axis is tilted towards and away from the sun. But yet the Earth is just rotating, going in this circle or in this ellipse around the sun. This is not a scaled diagram or anything like that. This is just an illustration for you to get the concept so you can see what's going on.
There's no change. How are there changing seasons?
It's not wobbling.
This looks uniform. The 24-hour day would be the same on all parts of the planet because there's no tilt. There's nothing that's changing. How are there is the seasons? Are you saying that it's from the distance from the sun or something?
Or do you want an answer, or do you just want to keep asking the same question and asserting why you're correct?
I need you to answer the crux of my question as to what is
Okay.
the mechanic that makes
I
the
need you
season.
to shut up so I can answer the question.
Shout out Shroomy.
Moo. Okay, now, do you see the diagram? Do you see the circles, the Arctic
You're
Circle?
saying it's from the distance, but if you put it on a graph, the relative
All right.
distance
I
changes
did not
hardly a
say-
fraction of a
all
percent.
right.
It's not enough to compensate for the radical change you see in the seasons. That little change of a percent of hundreds of miles versus the millions of miles that we already are from the sun is not enough to compensate for that.
Yeah,
This
nobody's
is not
talking about
sufficient.
that. Obviously, you can't even understand a diagram. So good luck to you on your search for truth here, sir. Good luck to you.
Can I ask a question, Curvewater?
Sure,
Oh,
Arwen, what's
didn't
up?
see you there, Arwen. Sorry. I should have introduced you,
no.
my friend. Good to have you here. We've also been joined by Huey. How you doing, Huey?
Hey ho, Nathan. How are you?
Very well, very well. Good to have you.
Oh, by the way, I looked up what you were talking. You were talking about the mathematical certainty of alien life.
Indeed.
I think you might be referring to the Drake equation. Is that it? Is that what you're talking about?
I don't want to say yes just in case it isn't, but yeah, it sounds about right.
Okay. Well, the Drake equation, like I said at the time, is a probability. It's not a mathematical certainty. It's a probability that the guy calculated, and he made an equation to demonstrate what the probability is, and that has critics. A lot of people say there's too much conjecture in it. So there's no mathematical certainty of alien life, unless you're talking about something else.
I think it's highly probable that there is alien life on planets somewhere in
But
our
maybe-
galaxy or another galaxy.
But is it a mathematical certainty?
That's what Nathan
No.
was saying.
No.
The mathematical certainty, and I think maybe he's misunderstood it.
I think
I
it's
stand
very
corrected.
probable, though.
I
Yeah,
stand
but that's
corrected,
what the Drake
Huey.
equation points out, the probability, but there's too much conjecture in it, according to his critics.
Okay, can I get back to my question again?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. If you can present that picture again of the season thing, if you please.
Is Orb going to be okay with that?
What?
Oh, all right. Sorry about that.
I don't want to get anybody triggered or get anybody upset, so I figured it was best to take it down.
Just gonna call him Lemon Bird.
It's a really funny picture.
All right.
Yeah, I got it from one of those wallpaper sites. It's pretty cool.
It's very artistic. Anyway, what I wanted to ask was, in that picture, that one, you said it was a diagram, but
It's a graphic illustration.
yeah, I understand, but I'm just trying to imagine like what is literal about it and what isn't, and I guess the position should be like the relative position towards the sun should at least be as literal as possible, but it's not like literally an ellipse around the sun, right? The Earth doesn't come closer during the autumn and the spring.
It does not this much. This is not to scale. The difference between
Because if it
aphelion
would
and perihelion
any-
is about like 3 million miles, I believe.
No, but the thing is, if it would get any closer at any point, if it was not just a circle, then, well, theoretically, if you just imagine what the sun is supposed to be in the heliocentric model, if you would get closer, you would catch a lot more heat. So
Arwen?
that wouldn't make any sense if it even
Arwen,
went a little bit closer.
It's about a
spring seasons.
roughly a 3% difference, Arwen. It's roughly 3% difference.
We're really, really, really far from the sun.
Okay, well, at least it's not like this. It's not like a very
Well, no,
ellipse.
no, this is not
Okay, so then
to,
it kind
to
of
scale. This is
it,
not to
it
scale. And
misrepresents it a bit. It should be in a squared thing.
Okay,
It
then
just-
I'll tell you what, Arwen, why don't you pull up the freaking diagram that satisfies you?
No, I'm just saying it's like it's okay.
Dude,
I
I
get
told
it,
you this is not to scale. This is to illustrate a concept.
It
Yeah.
preserves the
But
points
it's
that
unnecessarily
are being
mixed.
discussed. It isn't. It doesn't. It just preserves the points that are discussed, which is the tilt of the Earth.
This is to show you, the change in relative tilt to the
I know.
sun, while
I
the
get it.
tilt
I get it.
itself stays the same relative to space
I get that.
and
I'm
the
just saying
northern
that
star.
the ellipse shape is unnecessary.
Oh my God.
Well,
Okay.
I don't know that this is an elliptical shape. When you look at a circular path from an angle, it looks elliptical. So simply for illustration purposes, they could have thought of that as just a perfect circle.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
simply to
that's all
show
I'm
the
saying.
tilt. That's
If
it.
you
How the tilt
diagram them.
does
So-
not walk
right.
around the way you guys think it does.
Anyway, you
The
answered my
model does
question,
not
so
say
thank you
it
for that.
does. Okay,
So
well,
if
you're
you, if you
welcome for
look
that.
if you look at the circular opening for a glass of water from an angle, it looks elliptical, even though it's
I know,
not.
but
And that's what you're looking at there.
And that's like perspective drawing, but to
Well-
do that on such a scale with this thing is just, it makes it a
Arwen,
bit surreal.
this is just about to show you how the tilt works. That's it.
I know.
Well, I mean, there's still a problem with this model anyway, because by this very model, if we were on a spinning ball, the night and day would change every season. Because if you look at the top, the side that's facing the Earth during that season, say it's like fall, it would be daytime at that part. But now at the bottom, 6 months later, when it goes around the sun, that same part of the Earth facing that part of the sun during the day at the top would now be facing out into darkness. So why don't night and day flip according to this model like it should in real life according to this model? This is not observed.
Wow.
Holy crap! That is some
He grabbed
great.
last.
That is
he
some
got-
top grade.
He got last year's manual. This has been done to death. This is crazy. Where'd you get this from?
You
Look
understand
at
that
the model. If we're spending 24 hours a day at each position, you got
You
daytime when you're
understand-
facing the sun, nighttime when you're facing away.
Ara?
It would flip every 6 months.
I'm gonna ask you a silly question, Ara. Do you understand the difference between a sidereal day and a solar day?
No, I do not.
Okay. Sidereal day is about 23 hours, 56 minutes, 4 seconds or so. It's approximately the time that it takes for the Earth to make a 360-degree rotation about its axis. That's when it is realigned, has made a rotation with respect to the stars. It takes a little bit longer than that because of the distance that it's traveled day to day before it's made a revolution back to where, like, I'm going to call it solar noon to solar noon is going to be about 24 hours. There is a difference of about almost 4 minutes a day. Some days more than that. Some days less, more, less. It has to do with the elliptical shape of the orbit. And this is basically the crux of the issue here is that you're not accounting for that. And that's that.
Well, you're saying that this is enough to compensate for the flip in night and day that you would expect. I find that hard to believe.
Okay. All right. So if we go on, Tony, do you have anything on this? Anybody? I don't want to do all the talking. I'm not trying
I'm cooking
to
waffles with my daughter right now. I'm sorry. I was just kind of listening. I shouldn't even joined in, but
Oh, that's
me and my daughter
that's
cooking
fine.
waffles.
Cool. So, all right.
So what are we talking about?
He thinks that 6 months later, at the same time, the Earth should be pointed the opposite direction. Day should be night, midnight should be noon, that kind of stuff, because somebody told him so, and he hasn't done any calculations or figuring it through on his own to understand the situation.
Well, you could try to simulate it using literal ball models in a ray traced scenario and see what you actually get to see.
I mean, I could be wrong. I guess I'll have some more researching to do.
Yeah, you do, and I hope you do. I want you to get it, but I don't want to argue with you about it. This is not a difficult thing.
one way to do research is to look up the people who don't agree with you.
Mhm.
So there are websites dedicated to refuting the flat Earth, and they have explanations for many of the common objections. Yours is a common objection. Read what they have to say, think about it, and see if you agree or disagree and why. That would be research. So
Well, that's
that
what
would
I'm
be
doing
one
right
way to
now.
go about it. Research is not watching YouTube videos. Research is thinking logically and systematically and skeptically, and using your critical faculties to challenge your own presuppositions. And this looks like another troll account.
Yeah, they're swarming us.
Yeah, that's what critical thinking is. Critical thinking is when you challenge your own presuppositions and subject them to analysis and criticism that you would any other belief that you have.
Well, that's what I'm
And
doing.
at the very least, watch some debunking videos of flat Earth if you don't want to do research. At least watch the other
I
arguments.
still have a level of tolerance that some things are just unbearable. So I prefer to do it like this.
That would be a personal failing of yours.
Yeah, it is indeed.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna try to force myself to do something that I don't see as a viable option.
Why do you think that it upsets you so much when you come across ideas that you don't like?
Because of the attitude, basically.
Well, Arwen, I face this all the time. Every day I get people telling me ideas that are very offensive. They're extremely offensive to me personally and in general. And so I listen to them and I can respond to them in a critical fashion. And I found that is more effective than simply ignoring them.
I know. And I have
I'm not
taken
talking
note
about
that you take a lot of effort to really put down your words very carefully and be very careful in your feeling output during your expressions. And I have to compliment you on your discipline and self-control in that, really, in most situations.
Oh, it's hardly all the time. I
know
just like
everybody
else.
makes mistakes, but I'm just saying that I take note of such things. It's very difficult, but most debunking videos are made by people that don't do that at all, and they just go out full on throwing everything in, and that's nauseating to me.
Okay.
I find it's just unbearable.
I'm sorry, I have to interrupt you. It's just that, frankly, these academics have failed people with a lot of the lies and the deceptions that they have put in the books that have been mind-destroying, logic-destroying, and world-destroying for some of these people. And the flat Earth will be another one. This will be another one.
So what lies are you talking about?
That the earth is round, that everything in the Bible is false, versus some of the things that are actually true, that there is a God up there who made this plane for us special, just for us to live on, and that he loves and cares about us, and that there's proof of his handiwork. That's infuriating.
Well, that's the first problem. You believe in imaginary things. It's difficult.
No. God exists. I'm sorry. God is real.
You have to get past imaginary beings. It's hard. I understand.
What is real is that things have been designed.
There are plenty of people. There are plenty of people who believe in God who know that the Earth is round.
Exactly.
No, who believes that, Brandon?
But you got to come with your A game. This is just another notch in the belt that shows his handiwork. It helps show him even more. And like you say, could be wrong. I don't know. But if I'm right, then some people have some serious explaining to do. Some of the lies in the textbooks and stuff like that.
Well,
if the Earth is flat instead of round, a lot of people have a lot of explaining to do. Like they said, they found the dome with Project Dominic, Project Fishbowl, and with the explorations of Admiral Byrd, and they hid this from us to control us, they have a lot of explaining to do. Whoever the heck was responsible for the secrecy.
You're absolutely right.
I agree.
Sorry, I'll let you talk. I'm sorry.
And the angels polish it. They get out some Windex. They get out some Windex and they go.
You can't have a rainbow without a mirror. It's shiny and reflective at the very least, because you can't have a rainbow without water in a mirror. What is the mirror that causes the rainbow outside? You have the water droplets, fine. Where's the mirror?
Make rainbows
the
in your
dome.
House
with a mirror and water.
No, you don't.
No, you don't need a mirror.
You don't need a mirror to make.
I'm sorry. You need two polarizers to make a rainbow. What's the second polarizer outside?
You need a new manual, dude.
It just seems like you guys are so ready to come from an anti-God perspective on some level that you're willing to kind of throw this out if it proves that he exists on some level. I mean, am I wrong?
I'm trying to
This
show
isn't
you a
like a religious.
simple graphic of how the axis doesn't change throughout the orbit, yet how it does change relative to the sun without wobbling around as you thought.
All right.
Real
I'll
quick,
put my
let's
hat
do
Even
back
if you
on.
throw disbelief,
All right.
And why couldn't
go
God
to
make a round
disbelief.
Earth? Wouldn't it be more beautiful that way? I mean, I think it makes more sense
What?
that He would make a round Earth that comports with reality. Everything says
But-
it's round, it's spherical. Why couldn't God do that? Is He not capable of doing that?
He
There
could,
be a
but
God
the
be
thing
around
is, it's nice to be on a nice, stable plane. No wobbling,
Wow.
no possibility of crashing
nice
into
to be
something
rich.
else. There's some reason, rationality behind making a firm plane for us to live on too. I mean, look at how dizzy and sick, motion sick you get on going on a boat or something like that, or getting on one of those merry-go-rounds. Can you imagine if our whole planet was like that? If it is like that at all.
So, sorry to interrupt you guys. I just want to say a quick introduction to our two new guests. So we've been joined by Yvette and by Dawn Treader UK. If I could just say a quick hello to Dawn first.
You ignored me.
How you doing, Dawn Treader?
What's up, Rebel?
Good to have you here.
And hello to Truth Seeker.
Oh yeah, there's Truth Seeker. Hey man.
No one can get in now.
Good to have you
Man,
here.
the myth.
And Yvette also, I
legend.
think, has just taken up a spot. So thanks for being here, Yvette.
She likes to censor opinions.
Wow.
Oh.
No, we actually had a very cordial conversation. I was trying to improve her cannabis knowledge, and she posted the link, but edited out all of our good cordial conversations.
I can barely hear what you're saying, Truth.
Sounds like
We
a
had-
personal
I've
opinion.
turned
We
him right.
had a very positive conversation discussing terpenes and cannabinoids, and she uploaded the Hangout, but purposely kind of left out all of our cordial conversations.
Okay.
I'm surprised to hear you had one. Congratulations.
Yeah, no, it was very pleasant. We were going back and forth. We were sharing knowledge and experiences, and she doesn't want to show that. She's obviously being disgenuine.
Why are you lying? I'm not here to fight with you, but it takes a long time for an 8-hour hang up to load. So you're only going to see the last 2 hours of the show, okay? So the first part will eventually show up. I don't have time to. Okay?
Other people do. That's fine.
Shut up.
Yvette, you have to understand, Truth Seeker is special. He had special education. He has a special helmet for work.
Curved water, all of
I'm a
us here
big
are
kid.
special in our own kind of way. Otherwise, we wouldn't be
So-
in such a hangout.
Arwen, would you like to explain to Aura why the creator is tricking us, making it look like a globe while it's actually flat?
Because if everything was too obvious, then there wouldn't be a challenge in anything in finding wisdom.
I've seen some. It's pretty good. I mean, I've seen some of the flat Earth models. Some of them have a globular structure with a dome, a flat plane on pillars, bobbing up and down on the waters of the deep, causing all the tides. It's still round, but it ain't no ball rocketing through space because we don't see, at least, from a theoretical standpoint, we don't see night and day flipping. I'm sorry, that sidereal day is not sufficient to explain why the night and days don't flip radically, according to that model
Got
that
a
you're talking
better
about.
argument for you.
And other
How about
things.
this? Hey,
Got a better
hey,
argument.
Aura, how long does it take for the sun to go from from solar noon to solar noon?
I want to
I
say
got a
24
better
hours.
argument for you, Arif.
You
Why
realize
the
that,
Earth
like,
isn't
each
a
day-
rock like shooting through space? Because all the star constellations are always exactly in the same pattern and have been forever. And all that nonsense about it supposedly changes, something changes, it's always again
Arwen,
so
how do you know? Wait a second. What information do you have to make that claim?
Well,
The same-
all the
the
constellations
same
that were ever
forever.
marked anywhere in art and all that stuff, always been
That's right.
exactly
It looks
the
like
same.
and they make perfect star paths, perfect circles, looking like they're revolving around us, just like in a planetarium. Doesn't aren't there books that say that the stars are in the firmament? Maybe they're in the firmament, revolving around us, or something. Or maybe, like some people say, it's a projection onto a curved surface. I've seen experiments online where they flash something in a curved surface and it makes a reflection. Maybe that could be part of the reason why you have southern stars going one way, northern stars going some way, according to some
it's
models, but
actually
I don't
not.
know.
No, it's not. It can't be modeled. You can't
And
do
the
it.
fact we have the same cycles, the fact we have the same unchanging cycles proves that alone.
Oh my God.
Well, there's a little bit more to the real world, but yeah, there are ways to at least emulate what stars look like if you stand in the right spot in the center. But yeah, in the real world, everything like the apparent globe at the edge of your perspective pretty much moves with you. It's holographic.
Arwen, has Polaris always been the pole star for the North Pole?
According to most people, yes.
According to
But depending on which scientists you consult with, whatever agenda that they have, I mean, some of these scientists I just plainly don't trust. Radiocarbon dating is unreliable. They pull dates out of their out of thin air to date this, that, and the third. Some of these scientists have been. Well, it just shows the duplicity of some of these scientists and some of their motivations, and I hate to say it, a bit of an anti-God animus as well with some of these scientists.
Dude, why is Polaris not in the same position it was 70 years ago?
I find that hard to believe. I would have to check your source. If hypothetically, let's say if I believe you. I don't know.
I don't want you to believe me. I want you to understand it. I don't want you to believe me. You play too much with belief. You believe, you don't believe. Why don't you freaking learn something?
What do you know, Curved? Is it second-hand knowledge, or what first-hand accountability do you have to add to this? I'd love to hear your input.
I know that you're a troll. I know that you're an admitted Poe and a troll.
Okay, what if Flat Earth you have? Stay on topic now. This isn't a Poe discussion. Stay on topic now, and let's hear what first-hand knowledge you have to bring forth.
I'm not bound by your particular cherry-picked, personalized definition of first-hand knowledge and whatnot. If you want to go with first-hand knowledge the way you try to apply it to everybody else, then you don't know anything.
Right? That's why I stuck with my drone example.
Screw yourself.
Well, that's why we
have stand your drone example.
Well, that's why we have to come at this from a position of knowledge. I mean, logic. What logically works? When I look at that diagram, logically, night and day should be flipping, and the sidereal day is not enough to explain it because either they would have to really slow down to have the same length of day and night on the different sides of the sun like that in that model, or something else would have to go on. Something about it stinks. It just doesn't logically make sense.
Dude, when it solar noon to solar noon to solar noon, day to day to day, back when the sun is crossing your meridian, about 24 hours. Where do you get this halfway thing from out of that?
Well, the thing is, you have the...
Yeah, he doesn't know. He was told this. He's regurgitating.
Well, also, Mr. Thrive and Survive goes over another hole in the whole sun thing, because if you take your phone, raise it above your head, it appears to go higher as your head goes lower. This is the same thing as the perspective on the Earth. As the sun further away, millions of miles away, goes higher up, it would appear to go higher up as the Earth goes down. So when the curve of the Earth curving down, kind of in a slant toward the sunrise, early in the morning, it would be low in the horizon. Then as the Earth curves toward the Earth, it gets a little closer and it rises in the sky, right? So, and then as the Earth curves away, the sun would appear to dip in the horizon, right? So high noon, and then it would dip during dusk or whatever, according to the globe model, right? Am I right?
No, you're
not. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, as the Earth is dipping toward the sun, say during summer in the northern hemisphere, this works fine. But it doesn't work. The sun should do the opposite when the Earth is tilted away from the sun in the winter, because now the Earth is tilting away from the sun. So in the morning, the sun comes around, but then it should dip toward noon and then rise toward evening because of the curvature of the Earth away from the sun. This isn't observed either. I mean, go ahead, take a globe and color a latitude line on the ball and observe it and tilt it towards you, and you'll see how it should rise and fall, but it doesn't happen.
It's because you don't know you don't understand.
That's because the globe model is wrong.
No, it's because you don't understand.
All right, maybe I don't understand
Your
it.
Right.
straw man is wrong.
It like globe. It's predicted every single solar eclipse. Flat Earth.
You can predict that with a chart. All you got to do is get patterns. If you look at the patterns of eclipses over hundreds of years, you see patterns anyway, with or without with whatever model you're talking about. All you have to do is just chart it, and you can chart it on the globe or flat Earth. That's not conclusive.
Do you think it comes to the same place every 3 years? Like it's the same place the eclipse is?
If it's orbiting around a geostationary Earth,
repetitive.
If it's orbiting around a geostationary Earth above us, while it's orbiting above us in whatever path it's going, it would make patterns then too. If it's on a set path, I don't know the whole mechanism, but it's just not conclusive enough for me. I don't know.
Can you model those patterns with the sun and moon and the distance that they are away from the Earth? And all? You can't even do an equinox, dude. And now you're going to try to do eclipses on a flat Earth.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
We have the next solar eclipse. We know where it's going to go with our model.
I mean,
and it's going to go there too.
It depends on the model you consult, but on the flat Earth, the equinox, I guess, would be what? The middle part of its journey, like it makes a thin, tight circle during winter, and during summer, during summer in the northern hemisphere. Sorry, winter in the southern hemisphere.
You don't know what you're.
And during summer in the southern hemisphere, winter in the northern hemisphere, it makes a fat circle. Supposedly, the equinox would be what? Midway between that. Plus, you got the analemma. The sun makes an analemma that is unequal.
Hey, can we do one thing at a time, please, without you galloping here freely? Why don't you let somebody respond to you about what you just derped about the equinox? There's way more to it than what you just mentioned.
All right. Sorry.
Observations we make from the Earth during equinox, azimuth to sunrise, sunset. That's just an example, equinox. I mean, you have contradictions daily on azimuth to sunrise and sunset, but the equinox is just one simple example. It's the simplest one to try to get people to understand.
Equinox is impossible on your flat Earth model that you've been talking about.
Yeah, any flat Earth concept. You can't do it without magic.
Not with a holographic heavenly body setup.
I said without magic, Arwen.
Where's the projector at?
Well, I don't know, but
oh, well, there you go.
It's
until you know, don't say it.
Outer dimension, from the fourth dimension.
Well, then you can say anything if there's dimensions. I say it's in the fifth dimension. You know, there's so many dimensions. Who knows?
Well, I regard the fourth dimension as time. That's how I was classically taught. So I'm assuming it's the fifth. The space through this one and throughout time.
That's the control room for us then. Must be. The fifth dimension is where all the mechanics are. That they take care of the dome and they take care of the projectors.
That's how I experienced it. Yes,
exactly like a globe.
Hey, real quick.
Oh, my daughter just smashed her finger.
So for people, for real, I'm being serious here. For people that like to discern truth, what's like a equivalent job? Can we say like a detective, like a police detective? Would that be someone trying to get down to the truth?
A lawyer.
Okay, perfect. A lawyer or a police officer is my example. I like both of those. Let's go with both. Do they micro focus on one tiny point at a time, or do they use the entire entirety to get the most accurate picture?
In the case of lawyers, they might very well focus on one narrow aspect of the law in order to get a case like dismissed or declared innocent or guilty.
Okay, but like a prosecuting attorney wouldn't take a whole background check, do a full context, try to profile a person. Nothing like that?
They would try to get as much information as possible, I would think, yeah.
Yeah, and then they would use the entire full context in discerning the most truthful opinion. So it seems to be the fact that you guys want to keep only micro-focusing at one tiny little point at a time shows that you're not interested in discerning the whole truth.
Well, I think your
Not
character
what-
is wrong.
Projection.
I could just jump in here. It's not what lawyers do. Lawyers go in to win. So if you're a prosecutor, you go in and approve a guilty verdict to get a prosecution. The defense counsel are doing the opposite. So neither of them are looking at the whole picture. They're cherry picking the evidence that suits their case. So it's a really bad analogy.
So you're saying every time a lawyer, every single instance, they're always cherry picking, even a crime detective.
A defense counsel isn't going to present evidence that makes their client look bad.
They're not trying to be fair.
They're not trying to be fair.
They usually try to get evidence from the other side thrown out of court.
Yes.
Typically.
Yeah, they'll
what
try
we're
and get it thrown out if it hurts their case. So they're
And
not
do you
trying-
think you're going to have a strong argument if you just have one little tiny shred of something? Or do you think you'll have a much stronger argument?
Dude, we
if you
have all
use the full
kinds of
context?
stuff. Your analogy blows, man. We have all
Hey,
kinds
Kurt,
of-
wouldn't it be
My
nice
analogy
if we
is
defeated
incredibly
one of their
simple.
arguments and it actually got thrown out of court? Like we had, like once we defeated, you had to throw it out. That'd be awesome.
Well, the thing is, this is a war. This is a war, and this is rough. I mean, and in a court of law, they use any sort of strategy that they can. They lie, they fib, they talk about evidence that doesn't even exist just to get a confession out of the dude. They use any tactic they can in the book. And it's the same thing with the science. Sometimes they lie, they make up these numbers, like with the sidereal day. It just feels like they just made up those numbers out of thin air when their model didn't fit. Then they came up with another Band-Aid theory with gravity to explain why we don't fly off a spinning ball. If we're not moving, throw out gravity, throw out the whole thing, and just get to a better model. That's, what some of these flat earth people are saying.
You propose a better model?
Okay,
The
no, real
flat
quick,
earth
guys.
model.
So this needs to get back to what I was saying.
Oh,
Because
so
we're
how
having a
does the flat
debate
earth
here.
model?
And
No,
we need to be sure that both sides are actually fully
Can you
interested
present a flat earth
in
model
discerning
that
truths.
reality
No,
of the
because there
Let's
is a
just-
huge contingent of these arguments
Truth.
is
We
that we
need to
must
talk about
micro
the
focus.
facts and the evidence, okay?
Micro focus at one point at a time, and I don't think that's a right qualification.
Save it for story time tomorrow. We're trying to talk
It's a
about facts
rigged-
and evidence.
It is a rigged debate. It's a rigged debate if you can't use a full entire context. Simple as that.
You can. You can use any full and entire context you want. Bring some, for God's sake. Bring some full and entire context for once.
What's
I
dishonest
just want to know why you guys always fall back to, whoa, quick gish galloping. We need to focus at one point at a time. now."
dishonest.
One at a time.
You do one thing at a time.
You think that's bad? How retarded are you? Jesus.
I just want to make sure everybody's intentions are pure.
No, you don't. You're a Poe. You're a self-admitted Poe.
Well, that's why you got to discern this. Well, you got
Yes.
to discern the spirit behind these things, because if you have a good spirit, something good is going to happen. If you do the same action as somebody else with a bad spirit, it can have a totally different result. Same action, totally different result depending on the spirit behind it. So we do have to discern the spirits. And that's what Flat Earth is about, discerning the truth that they haven't been telling us. We've had to do this on our own, discern this on our own, and just see the lies on our own without any sort of, assistance.
You can't magically
I'm not
determine
holier
if
than
somebody's
thou.
telling the truth.
I'm not holier than
So
thou.
truth,
I
truth.
want people to do their own research and do everything. Don't listen
So
to me.
Truth, you're an admitted Poe. You said you're an admitted Poe. Is that right, Truth?
Of course not.
Alex.
I just happen to know what a Poe was, and I know that there's only like a small percentage of other people in this world that do.
He thinks only a small percentage.
How about you
Poe?
explain
What
to the
is
audience
that?
what a Poe is? No, because I'm pretty sure the listening audience isn't sure what a Poe is. Can you please let us know?
Anybody out there know what a Poe is? Alex?
Like a poet?
A poet
Alex?
or a
Are
Poe?
you in
Just a
chat,
Poe.
Alex?
Okay. I don't know what that is.
Are you in chat, Alex?
He left when
Well, then you
the forum started.
Okay.
I had an American friend that used to say I was Poe, and she used to say that I was so poor I couldn't afford the O and the R.
Nice. But
Is it the same as a shill then?
knowing what a Poe is apparently is a sign of being a shill, according to Truth Seeker. What's up, Pierre?
It was a very simple analogy.
Sorry, Truth Seeker. I'm just going to make a couple of quick introductions. So we've got Make4 who's just joined us. If we can just say a quick hello, Make4. How you doing?
Hey, man.
Good to see you. And we've also been joined by Pure Anarchy. How you doing, Pure Anarchy?
dear.
Nope,
So yeah,
not.
it was a very simple analogy. Somebody
Sorry,
like
one
a
more
police
time.
detective-
Just sorry, True Seeker. We've also been joined by Hank Hill. And how are you doing, Hank Hill?
Hey, great. I just wanted to say that, the argument that was made earlier about the sun should change, just the time of day should change as we go around the sun. Yeah, that's not going to happen as it goes 361 degrees each day, so that prevents that from happening. I don't know if that was well understood.
The panel
Okay,
is
so real quick-
shifting.
Hold on, real quick. I just wanted to finish it because people clearly said they couldn't understand my point. Is real quick, is somebody like a police detective is somebody I'd put my most trust in somebody trying to discern the truth. If there was a murder or any kind of serious event, I know that they use the entire full context of details in all of their presentments and arguments. And the fact that these arguments try to steer away from that kind of core principle,
No, we don't.
no, you specifically do, and it's very concerning.
I said one at a time, you moron. Please,
Do we have
one
to
at
just,
a
like,
time.
Again, I don't
get
fling mud.
scalloping.
I don't fling mud, and I'm not getting upset.
Yes, you do.
I'm just stating that it's not the trait of somebody that's actually kind of trying to prove
One at a time. Focus on it. Get it done.
What lies y'all telling now?
Well, okay, what's the one at a time? What are we talking about here? I just got in here.
They said diesel
One lie at
trucks
a
are
time.
no
Go
good,
ahead.
David. They said diesel trucks are for sissies. Can you believe that?
One lie at a time now.
Right, what I was saying is the trait of like a police detective isn't that they micro focus at one point of time and yell at people for gish galloping. They always give full context in all of their presentments and arguments, and that's how you get the most objective discernment of truth.
Okay, so this feed will be going offline for approximately 5 minutes, and then there will be a new feed that started while I make a few editing adjustments to the current number 52A. So look out for the new look out for the new link, which will be 52B, which will appear in about 5 minutes time. A massive, huge thank you to all of the audience for watching this first part A of this live stream, and also a massive thank you as always to the live panel, who we will rejoin very shortly. Be sure to like, comment, share and subscribe, and I will see you very shortly in the next video.